as it seeks to play an important role by finding pragmatic global solutions for the well-being of all. And in doing so, we manifestate the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world is one family.
Youth 20 or Y20 is an official consultation forum of Youth Forum, all G20 members countries, to be able to dialogue with each other. Y20 encourages youth as a future leaders to raise awareness of global issues, exchange ideas, argue, negotiate, and reach the consensus. This time, this momentous event is being organized by here at Vasireddy Venkatadri Institute of Technology in collaboration with esteemed Y20 India and Ministry of Youth India, as we recognize the significance of Industry 4.0 innovation and the vital skills necessary to thrive the digital era.
In this age of immense possibilities and transformative technologies, it is crucial that we gather here united in purpose and dedication to examine the future of work and equip ourselves with the necessary tools and knowledge to exchange in ever-changing the global workforce.
Today, we have the privilege of being joined by an exceptional lineup of visionaries, thought leaders, and experts who will grace our stage and share the invaluable insights and perspectives, and their collective wisdom and experiences will guide us in navigating the intricate intersection of technology, innovation, and the skills that will shape our professional journeys.
Therefore, I urge each one of you to embrace curiosity, open your minds, and actively participate in the sessions ahead. Let your voices be heard, your ideas be shared, and your questions asked. Remember, true growth and innovation spring forth from the collective efforts of the diverse perspectives coming together.
Now, without any further ado, let us commence this remarkable event by lighting the lamp of knowledge and inspiration. Requesting the dignitaries and the guests to come onto the dais for the lighting the lamp. Sir, please.
We request Principal Sir, Chairman Sir, Dean Sir.
Thank you so much, all the dignitaries and the guest speakers.
तुषार हार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रान्विता या वीणा वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासनहाच्युता शङ्करा प्रकृतिभिः देवैः सदा पूजिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेषजाड्यापहा.
Wisdom to all of us.
So please.
As you know, India is the host for the presidential status of G20 this year. Y20 is an official forum to extend this knowledge and information to youth of India. We are proud to be part of this. Probably the only college hosting such a thing in AP. Please take benefit from this. We expect students to, from this, learn that, at least get motivated to help their fellow beings, society at large, country, and the world later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With great honor and respect, we warmly invite our esteemed principal, sir, Dr. Y. Mallikarjun Reddy, to please come onto the dais and share valuable insights with us. So please.
Our respected dignitaries of Y20 conference, and my dear students and faculty members, good morning to all. So this is the first time in our college we are conducting under G20 Y20 conference, right from the industry experts and educationalists, right, to discuss about the future and the revolution of industry. That is I think already you know that the industry 4 is running, and lot of innovations are took place right in recently, and after the COVID, right. So there is a lot of changes are happened in the development, right. So we have seen that the emerging technologies are coming under industry 4 technologies, right. So most of them like one thing is that a drone technology, healthcare, and robotics, right? And automatic machinery, automation in everywhere, right? And effect of artificial intelligence, and with ChatGPT is one of the revolutionary just took place, right? Where there is a lot of impact this took place on the software industry, right? So that's already know that. So we have seen that what are the possibilities of the development, and how the industry is going to react on this development, and what are the employabilities of the student, and what are the diversification should be should take place, right? And to change the minds of the youth, right? In which direction they have to, and it leads to that, right? So with that intention that you are having the discussions will take place, right, is required. A lot of discussions are required, right, on this. So the students like you, right, should think about on this, right, how the discussions will go on and how it leads and what are the conclusions to take place in this direction, right. So thereby you can take your decisions and what your future and how you are going to lead that, right. So for this I welcome all the dignitaries once again for this Y20 conference, right? And I assure you that the students will take in a positive note, and then think about your thoughts and how your the suggestions is going to take to the students and their questionnaires and all these things. So thank you, Mr. Thank you.
A big second, I would like to invite the moderator and the panelists onto the dais. Today we have Mr. Keshav Ram, Mr. Devansha, Mr. Mahadev Vasireddy, Mr. Vinay, Ms. Apurva, Mr. Ashwant Sai for the panel discussion.
Sir, please. Now let's dive into the profiles of Mr. Keshav Ram Kaviti. Request dignitaries to please settle down. Sir, please.
Now let's dive into the profile of Mr. Keshav Ram Kaviti. Mr. Keshav Ram Kaviti, a multi-faced visionary whose journey unfolds like a mesmerizing symphony of achievements. As a student body president of KLUSO, he orchestrated unity and innovation while gracing roles in Samyak and Surabhi, emanating creativity's enchantment. Celebrated as the best outgoing student with a medal and hailed as the best IT pass out of his department, his brilliance was unparalleled. Engineering, sowing into the earth-cutting technology, Mr. Keshav illuminated cloud infrastructure engineering as Motorola Solutions guiding star, while his pen danced with poetic grace as chief editor of Cloud Chronicle.
A luminary in education, he anchored student activities with JSAC, harmoniously integrating the national education policy. And I request Mr. Keshav sir to enlighten us with the words of wisdom. Sir, please. Okay. Now let me introduce another guest speaker, Mr. Devansha. Young luminary graces the realm of policy consultancy as he serves with distinction as a revered advisor to the Honorable Minister of State for Communications in resplendent Government of India. The illustrious tapestry of his accomplishments extend to the dynamic role of Y20 track chair for the future work, where the orchestrated the symphony of progress, overseeing the paramount domains such as Industry 4.0, innovation, and 21st century skills.
Beyond the confines of his professional realm, Mr. Devansh emerges as a beacon of social political activism, captivating hearts as he collaborates with government and private universities, waving the threads of change and contributing to the noble drafting and implementation of mental health policy.
His brilliance knows no bounds, for he stands adorned with prestigious accolades, gracing the eminent 25 under 25 list by the revered Young Indian Foundation. The tapestry of his endeavors transcends, crowned by the world records earned for his unparalleled contributions to the largest menstruation awareness campaign and the Model United Nations.
In the embrace of his myriad achievements, Mr. Devansha shines as a radiant star, his vibrant spirit illuminating every reel he touches, leaving a resplendent legacy that becomes a brighter and compassionate tomorrow.
We are very happy with your presence on the stage, sir.
Now let's dive into the profile of Mr. Mahadev Vasireddy. Mr. Mahadev Vasireddy, an extraordinary individual with a profound impact on the world of education and entrepreneurship. As the visionary founder of Freela and the vice chairman of Vasireddy Venkatadri Institute of Technology, Mr. Mahadev's contribution have left an indelible mark on both academia and the business world.
Mr. Mahadev's journey began with bachelor's degree in computer science from prestigious Penn State University, where he laid the foundation for remarkable career in technology and innovation. As the vice chairman of Vasireddy Venkatadri Institute of Technology, his passion for education and dedication to nurturing young minds have transformed the lives of countless students, shaping them into the future leaders.
Beyond his role in academia, Mr. Mahadev's entrepreneurial spirit led him to found Freela, a venture that embodies his commitment to empowering freelancers and fostering a culture of independent creativity and collaboration. In addition to his role in shaping the entrepreneurial landscape, Mahadev Vasireddy has been actively involved with the Student Activity Council, offering invaluable insights and mentorship.
His presence has been driving force behind the council's success in organizing and engaging the transformative programs that enrich the student experience in the campus.
With the unique blend of academic excellence and business acumen, Mr. Mahadev Vasireddy stands a true inspiration to all of us.
Discover the brilliance of Mr. Vinay Nandina, a visionary project manager at Microsoft, orchestrating the revenue recognition and forecasting for remarkable $2 billion business unit. As a seasoned SAP consultant, he revolutionized the diverse industries like retail, supply chain, seafood processing, and e-commerce, fueling the innovation and bidding prowess.
Mr. Vinay's technology ventures knew no bounds as he spearheaded the first ever blockchain use case for a supply chain client, reducing order reconciliation time by a remarkable 85%. Fearless in embracing transformation, he delved into RPA, IoT, cloud, propelling business towards time for success.
He pursued a prestigious one-year MBA from IIM Kozhikode, elevating his leadership from acumen. Infused with a passion for finance, he granted certification as a capital market professional with NSE and excelled in esteemed CFA valuation challenges.
In moment of respite, he explored Indian and US equities, economics and emerging technology, finding tranquility through swimming and meditation. A beacon of inspiration, Mr. Vinay's multifaceted journey shines with brilliance and unwavering dedication, inspiration hearts near and far.
We are very happy with your presence on the stage, sir. Now, let me introduce Ms. Apurva Madila, a shining example of dedication and self-improvement with a positive attitude and unwavering focus. She currently serves as Amazon AFBP Operations Manager, where her exceptional analytical, interpersonal, and leadership skills shine through.
Ms. Apurva holds a bachelor degree in computer science engineering from the prestigious National Institute of Technology, Jamshedpur. During her academic journey, she actively engaged in various activities and societies, including Soft Skills Society, Public Relations, Event Management, Computer Society of India, Alumni Relations, showcasing her commitment to holistic development and effective communication.
Furthering her quest for the knowledge, she pursued a postgraduate degree in strategy and leadership, marketing and information technology management at renowned Indian School of Business. Her continuous research and self-motivated nature fuel her drive to find innovative solutions and excel in any competitive environment.
With her expertise and passion for good, Ms. Apurva's presence promises to elevate our event, inspiring us all to reach greatness. Let us warmly welcome her and we eagerly anticipate her valuable insights.
Now, let me introduce Mr. Ashwan Sai Palagat, a digital marketing manager at Plug Power, whose resplendent talents have graced the realms of social media and content creation. With the artistry of Mastro, he fashioned a substantial following and enthralling subscribers on YouTube and captivating followers on Instagram, weaving the ethereal connection with his engaged audience.
In the enchanting tapestry of his accomplishments, he penned 3 masterpieces: The Door to Financial Freedom, The Art of Unleashing Your Potential, The Money Stories, each a beacon of wisdom and inspiration, guiding souls towards boundless growth and success.
Radiating the philanthropic spirit, he became guiding light over 1 lakh aspiring minds, empowering their journeys through skill-enhancing online courses on platforms like Udemy. His brilliance resonated through esteemed media outlets, gracing the illustrious realms of Suman TV, Eat My News, and TWIV, where his profound insights enlighten the hearts and minds.
In the constellation of visionary trailblazers, he stands adorned as a true luminary, painting the world with colors of knowledge and inspiration, leaving an indelible mark of greatness upon the tapestry of life.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Now, I would like to hand over the session to the moderator, sir, Mr. Keshav Ram.
We have people who are from 1960s, then from the 2000s, and our generation. So why I have to bring this particular example is that, you see, time was moving in at different place in each generation. For example, in our elders' generation, I think, sir, till 1990, if you tried to book a Chetak, Bajaj Chetak or a phone, I think maximum by 1960 to 1980 it would have taken, in 1960 it would have been 5 years, then it would have been 3 years. So time was by and large the same. So most of us, I think we are from the 1980s and 90s generation. Okay. For us, for the first 10 years were by and large static. But you see, the Vajpayee generation by and large, when the telecom revolution actually began, in your first 2000 to 2008, I think you saw the mobile phones. 2010 onwards, you saw the smartphones and the Geo revolution and the Zomato, the Swiggy. Each 5 years, your life is changing a lot. A lot. So, if someone has to write a book on their generation, it will be one book. But if someone has to write a book on your generation, every 5 years it has to come, they have to come with novel ideas. Time is changing fast. And we are in such a moment where we are seeing, okay, of course, I need not mention about the, what you call COVID era, where you entirely saw a new way, you have revision how you have to educate yourself. I think education institutions have re-envisioned themselves. Everything, almost everything has re-envisioned itself in terms of digital platforms, right? But from your landscape, while 2020 has been one thing, 2023 maybe particularly Jan has been a moment of different revelation, because you see with ChatGPT, things have changed a lot. Our discussion is not complete with ChatGPT, but that's the most stark example, right? The only difference between the earlier revolutions and present revolution is that people keep saying nothing would change because we had earlier industrial revolutions earlier as well. But the major difference between earlier revolutions and present revolution is that in earlier revolutions the machines only changed their physical labor. But right now the machines are entering into our cognitive space. I think some of our speeches are also written by ChatGPT. By and large, I can be very sure of it. You can tell whether a particular speech is written by ChatGPT or not. So I think if you have read Harari, he tells that you're being hacked. You're being read, you're being hacked completely. So this really poses a challenge to what you call whether machines are really competing with us or not. So a lot of confusion. To be very specific about that confusion, we have this dialogue in Jalsa, right? So there's a force which is coming over us with tons of power and we don't know how to handle it. And I think I've seen a recent anecdote as well. So you see, if a person comes and tells that it's raining, and another person comes and tells that it's not raining, your job is not to quote both, but your job is to open the window and see whether it's raining or not. We have a panel here where people are not just sitting, but not just watching from the window, but they are in the weather. They know whether it's raining, they know whether it's not raining, whether it's summer or winter. So they are gauging about the way the technology is going forward from the industry. So let's start. So before we go into the discussion, let's reflect on the present. Let's try to understand how, I think we have roughly about 5 to 10 years of experience, most of us here. I want each of you to reflect on how things have been when you just began from the 2020s and recently. So where do you think there have been greater replacements in each of your sector? So Vinay, you are from the Microsoft. So he's coming from the hotbed where things are happening. So what are your reflections? Of course, Vinay is also from Kozhikode. So I am Kozhikode. So he brings us the financial insight. He worked on the blockchain. He did the entire blockchain. He and a part of 3 have done the blockchain for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola. So you get the financial, blockchain, the happening technologies insights, right from industry to Vinay.
Hello. Taking that question, I'll first answer how things are changing now. So, since from last few days, everyone is talking about this generative AI, right? The major change that occurred is previously, from the last 5 years, if you see, every website you go, there is a bot there, which you ask some questions and it gives some replies. But if they are simple questions, it will try to search in its database, try to map the closer question and give you a pre-scripted answer. However, if you are not finding it, then it will give a template answer to you, or it is also used as in structure to navigate to different questions the user has. Like, do you have this question, and then you select something else so that you get the answer. But the change that happened with GPT is, it's able to generate a text which is grammatically correct and also making logical sense 7 out of 10 times. That's where one vertical of AI, which is natural language processing, has leapfrogged a lot, where there will be significant additions in efficiency and productivity. So that's the recent change. If you ask how this change will affect any of the industries, before industries, let's see maybe how it affects the management roles. When we are in management roles, what we generally search for is, first of all, we'll decide what we want to do, like what data we want. Once we get that, then we try to analyze that data. Once we have, we try to present that data. So these are the main 3 things that any business manager does in the corporates. So how GPT will help is to get the right information, even if it is from a document repository or from a database. You can tell this is what I'm looking for, maybe like a revenue trend. So it gets you the right data. Once you give that, once you get that data, the second thing is how it will add value to analyze it. Today, if we see the famous business intelligence software or Tableau, Power BI, right? So if this bot is integrated into it, you can ask for, okay, I want to see this data, slicing and dicing this way. Like I want which levers are affecting my gross margin, which levers are affecting my revenue, and it will by default generate that. So second, analysis. In analysis also it's helping. Previously also this analysis is there before GPT came up. But the difference is now it is able to put the analysis in a bulleted contextual points. Like it will tell you, okay, in so and so area there is XYZ company, there is a contract which is not working for you. Please go and take an action. So these are action oriented summary points. It can give you like 3 to 5 of them, and the people can take them and take an action. So that's how it's affecting the analysis part of it. Once that is done, maybe you can just ask your Power BI, okay, can you make a presentation out of it? Can you do a documentation out of it? Then it will beautifully put it in a document or a presentation slide and give it to you. So you take it to your leadership. So these are the 3 main things, the way it was affecting. One, to get the right information. Second, to analyze it. And third, to present it from a management perspective.
So if I can add a point here. So what Vinay tells is particularly important if you understand how human evolution happened. One important facet in the way humans evolved is that Harari writes beautifully in his book Sapiens, that language was central. For people to communicate among themselves, language was very central. So far, machines could not have the language. But once you have a machine which can read, understand, analyze, and even point out errors, it's a huge leap. So it's a threat. So when I was listing 3 to 4 things, I think wherever the machines intervene, there is one job there waiting, okay, what's the future, waiting to be reskilled. So it's a very powerful intervention where machines have entered into the language or the cognitive realm. So Mahadev, from your own insight into, I think Freela, I've seen Freela website, it's pretty good. So the way you are trying to, we'll come to the gig part. Okay. As also the vice president of this institution, where do you see some immediate quick changes happening right now?
Good morning everybody, hope you're all doing well. There are a couple of things that I wanted to mention. So earlier you have given us an example where if it's raining outside, we have to be the ones that stand outside and we are the ones that are giving the information to the kids. But I honestly feel even people who have graduated like 5-10 years ago like us, and leave alone the 30s and 40s age group, we are the ones that have actually become the satellites or the complex systems that does a lot of math to understand things. The next generations, it's always easier because it is a very norm for them. For example, let's say it took a lot of effort for us to figure out how an iPhone or iPad was working for our generation. But now a 3-year-old, my niece is basically playing games on it like there's no tomorrow. So when we notice that the current batches, half of our computer science is actually going to be graduating in specialties called AI, blockchain or IoT and DS and all of it. So when we talk about AI or data, the data sciences and all of it, I feel like they are the people that are actually standing in the rain and they can understand what's going on. Because the other day, Student Activities Council sent me a letter, some complaint. I was shocked to see the language that they have used. I was like, how? And then later they told me it's from ChatGPT. That's a different topic. So I was like, I myself never used ChatGPT to write a letter, but it actually wrote much better than what I can imagine myself writing in the next few years. So I feel like the students and educational bodies are this time a little early compared to the previous generations of catching the trends. Usually what is to happen is, let's say there is a computer revolution. So Chairman sir basically was involved in the APTIC before he started VVIT. The demand we had towards APTIC was insane. It was making more money than probably engineering colleges back then. The reason was they were able to take the trend way faster than the educational institutions. And then it took 10 years for education institutions to actually set up lab in every college to make sure that they address the reason why APTICs existed. But this time I feel like the educational institutions, at least the well-to-do ones, are forefront of it and pioneering the course curriculums and all of it. And in fact, we're happy to notice that the central government is putting quite an effort into this. The reason why all these new majors are approved by the ACT to make sure, if not now, at least by 5 years from now, it will be generating the proper workforce for all this Industry 4.0. Because yesterday I was discussing with one of a popular VC firms in Hyderabad, and we just had a funny discussion about it. So 10 years ago, let's say, or 15 years ago, there was a lot of tools that came for design mechanisms. Does that mean the design engineers were killed or those roles are lost? In fact, it just made their job easier and they were relaxing more than what they were doing back then. So let's say they were doing one design per day back then with the hand. Now they're able to do 10 designs and 10 buildings are able to come up rather than one building. So whenever there is something new or a new force, as you said, rather than worrying about what's up with my job, it's better to focus on understanding the new technology or new innovation and seeing what's our place with it. The same with even if you take an exaggerated example of a nuclear bomb. Is it scary? Of course. But the same nuclear energy can be used to produce electricity that is enough for like generations coming together. So are we going to be worried about the nuclear energy as a bomb, or are we going to be excited and focusing our research or our workforce towards creating jobs or companies towards the good side of the technology? I would always think, as humans, evolution concept, we have always picked the right sides to live thousands of years. So I think we're going to do the same thing.
That's very well put, Mahadev. So, but in the same example, where one task was being done by, I think, creatively by 5 to 6 people, now there's only one person doing it. So I think we have seen some examples. You have mentioned an example, right, where I think in your yesterday's listing.
E-commerce startup laid off.
It's not just laying off, but don't you think it's a higher, pressure on the present generation, wherein, okay, you need to work very much larger, because very much harder, because you see, what once was easy is now going to be very, very difficult. So 5 people are not the jobs of the rest of the 483.
So that is the same example we discussed about it, where I mentioned instead of building one building, now they're able to build 10. So let's go back to the same example. So when we talk about, take an example of an accounting. Before computers were there, let's say VVIT's accounting, or probably this, if it was back then, probably would have needed 20 people to physically do the accounting work of thousands of students and everything.
Yeah.
But what happens is when the computers come and play, instead of saying you have to work harder, I would say you have to work smarter. So the guy back then just needed to put in math skills and time. Now maybe he needed to add in the SAS coding, or let's say the Tally or something that the officers use.
Yep.
So once that happens, what happens is like these 20 people will be able to help 20 ventures. We don't see an accountant actually just sitting home, not getting a job these days. In fact, we really need a couple of them if you can find some.
Yeah.
So did the computers really kill that? No, if at all, in a developing country like India, where people are ready to make change instantly, like for example, say the introduction of computers gave us more jobs. Do you have more jobs than your father's generation, or do we have less jobs?
I'll come to that. Yeah, we have more jobs. Of course, the size of the cake has increased a lot.
So
yeah.
the reason why it increased is because the cooking has become easier. So the moment cooking has become easier, if there are more chefs, as you said, they don't have to put all their efforts into one pie. What they do is they go and build different pies. So then do we really worry about the other 4 people jobs? No, as I said, they just need to understand the new technology and start creating more things rather than trying to think of themselves as machines. As I said, in the same example, an accountant needs to put that extra effort or something to learn that tally or so in the last 15 years to be able to do way more job than what he was being able to do earlier. So I think the focus of the education institutions and the industry, and in fact the government, should be where they create this awareness with the youth and make sure they provide enough resources for the youth to actually figure out more things that can be done rather than worry about if they're going to lose their job.
Yeah.
No technology has ever actually lost any jobs. It's just they go into different shape and form of it. That's about it.
Yeah. So it's very well put. I think the thing you have to take is this is how a person who is in the business realm or the startup should think. So everything is an opportunity and you have to increase the size of the cake rather than worrying about a small cake and how to preserve it. Your take on this, Devansh?
I have a very simple, I would like to begin with a very small story. Back when computers were introduced in India, when we got the first computers coming in, the entire nation was ravaged by protests. Simply stating that this is going to kill off all the jobs, this is going to create major problems for the economy, and this is not going to work out.
If I can add a small point there, in 1984 there was an editorial in the Hindu saying that if computers come, jobs, so people in the labor market is threatened and you should ban, sort of asking for a ban on computers in the Hindu editorial 1984. Yeah.
Today there's not a single profession out there that does not require some or the other use of the computers. Similarly, back in 2014, when we first introduced the idea of a digital economy, everyone refuted it, not possible, our vendors going to go out there with, the credit card machines. Today we're in 2023. By raise of hands, how many of you use UPI or Google Pay today? That's the answer in front of you, right? People say that AI is going to, lose jobs, and yes, jobs are going to be lost. It is estimated that AI is going to cost us 85 million jobs. But at the same time, it's also going to create 95 million more jobs. That is what we should be more excited and focused towards. AI has always been a cause of concern to humanity ever since Terminator came out. Okay, that scare has been there that Skynet is going to rise one day and take over the world. But it wasn't so prominent until AI reached households. While it was limited to research labs, people did not care much about it. Now that every single human has access to it, it's become scary. And I often believe that when a resource is limited and limited to few people, they're quite comfortable with it. When everyone has access to the resource, it creates competition, and that is scary. Competition should never be seen as scary because it makes us better individuals, it makes us better, I would say, businessmen, humans at the end of the day. I think 10 days into the release of ChatGPT, there was a new profession that was created called prompt engineers.
Yeah.
How can you use ChatGPT to ensure that you get the perfect estimated result? Imagine a job that was created within days of the product launching. How can we be scared of such a thing? So, and speaking from a background where, I work as a policy consultant of space that has just been created. And trust me, having AI tools that make it so easy for you to, I've worked as a risk analyst with EY before, and there we used to have mountains of data to go through. It would take an analyst at least 10 days to go through a company's data. GPT-4 does it in what? Seconds now. That doesn't mean that the analyst is going to lose the job. You still need that analyst to put that data into ChatGPT. It just means that instead of, like he said, instead of one building, 10 buildings, so one company will be able to analyze the data for 10 companies now. And that increases our productivity, that increases the billables for companies. I think it's a great idea going forward.
So I wanted to hear where another cap now, the cap of being a policy consultant for Government of India. Economic Survey 2016 by I think Arvind Subramanian and 17 also says that the future of India or else the demographic dividend of India can be yielded when there are more jobs created in the low skill economy. Right now, our talk, so far we are confining only to the ChatGPT. Let's forget ChatGPT, let's broaden it to industrialization 4.0. So, don't you think a lot of, especially if we take 3D printing, Okay, wherein a number of artifacts can be created just by a design, what otherwise used to be done by a lot of labor. So with, I think, what is the formal sector here? I think it's 10%. 2.4% pays the income tax. So only leaving the white collar jobs aside, as a policy consultant, don't you think there's a higher challenge for India? Because a lot of India still needs a lot of skills upgrade. We are a low skill economy, just as the economic survey of Government of India puts it. And don't you think there's really a higher challenge there? Because the technology is moving so fast that many jobs may become redundant very soon. Let's not talk only about the educated. Even if we talk about education, we saw what the ASSOCHAM report tells. Like, not many are employable, except people coming from some good institutions. Not many are employable. So don't you think that's a higher challenge as a policy consultant? What do you say?
So I have two corrections for you before I progress with my
Please.
answer. First correction is that youth is no longer the future of India. The youth is no longer the future of India, it's the present. Today we are 65% of India.
Yeah.
And when we are such a major demographic dividend, we are the present. Our voice matters and it should be heard. And secondly, it's not 2.4% anymore, it's increased to 4.8%. Income taxpayers have increased in the nation.
Yeah. But still,
coming to your point-
96% don't pay
Absolutely,
taxes.
yeah. Coming to your point, see, I again will disagree with you to a certain extent, because with the digital revolution in the nation right now, right, every single person, no matter his income and no matter his education level, has a smartphone now, or at least an access to one. COVID made sure of that.
Yep.
None of us had imagined that we'd progress at such a impressive scale of digitalization. When hardships were brought on to us, we rose to the challenge, simply to say. Secondly, everyone has now become financially literate to a certain extent. By that I mean they have access to banking facilities. You have the Indian Postal Department going houses to people's houses and ensuring that they have bank account, they have access to insurance, they have access to do digital transactions. So when this scale of digitalization is occurring in the nation, it automatically has created opportunities and spaces for people to grow. Like you said, 3D printing, what will happen to the handiworks that were happening, So one district, one product scheme that the government has come out with. It's a beautiful example of ensuring that us unskilled laborers who are skilled in a particular art form are protected and their skill is taken care of. Apart from that, we now have 400 professions which are covered under the e-Shram portal, which is a portal for laborers. And it doesn't mean laborers only the ones who are doing physical laborers. Drivers, people who work in our houses, vegetable vendors. The entire idea is to move the unregulated economy into a regulated economy, to bring the unbanked to bank.
Yep.
When you do this, you are creating, you're bringing them back to the circular economy part, when they have bank accounts, when they invest, when they start moving that money, that creates more money into the economy, and therefore this helps the nation grow. And coming to the second part of being unemployed, see, I've always, now there's one stereotype about Gujaratis that's famous like throughout India, that we're born businessmen, we have blood in our business, But I find that a little limited. I would say India has always been a land of job creators and not job seekers. We've always been job givers. You take a look at our history.
Later on, like 2000 and 2010, like we have many frameworks, we have many libraries of Python or JavaScript came into existence, and we can do front end, back end using single language called JavaScript. But now there is something called no code. With the help of WordPress, we can design a website without the requirement of writing code. And now in the AI era, we don't need that as well. We don't need to drag and drop as well. Of course, people might think that it is making people lazy. But the thing here is, AI is doing that, right? So by this evolution, 50% of the people feel like AI is killing the job. But the thing here is, AI is not killing the job, but the person who is effectively using the AI is killing people who are not effectively following up with the trends. So this is something which is going on. Like you might also witness, like by the time you graduate, if you feel like you know HTML or CSS or JavaScript, you feel like you are a web developer. But once you graduate and once you go into the real world, real competition, like we have witnessed the layoffs and mass recessions in the last 2 to 3 years. The thing is, if there is an advancement in technology, people look for alternatives. Who can do the better? So recently, an e-commerce startup laid off 90% of its employees. or support employees. Do you know the reason? Because one of the tech team member created an AI chatbot which will do all tasks accurately and more efficiently than 90% of these employees. And many of the people suddenly took the internet in a storm, like they all, shouting at the person, the CEO, like why you are doing this, you are creating unemployment and all. But as a business person, like if I create a business, my main intention is to cut down the costs and improve the profits. That's the main intention, right? Any business owner will think in this way. But here, AI is not something which killed the 90% of the jobs there, but the person who created the chatbot, he is responsible for 90% of the layoffs. But it doesn't mean he is wrong, because he is right in his own way. He can survive for his rest of the life using the mindset that he has. But the thing is, people who depend on manual jobs, who are not really interested to upgrade themselves to the latest technologies, they might need to suffer. But there are some good things as well. So if I reflect on my experience, so I work as a digital marketing manager. So we take care of companies' online presence, I can say. It might be website, it might be managing social media handles, it might be advertising to our targeted clients. So there were many activities that are involved in digital marketing. So, and apart from digital marketing, apart from my full-time work, I do create content on YouTube and Instagram, and like technology or whatever it might be. And I also do freelancing. So one question that I receive from many of my followers is like, how do you manage the time? So I say the simple thing, because I can use technology effectively, like I have the ability to cut down my work. Like it might have taken 8 to 9 hours to complete a single task, but with the help of ChatGPT, I'm cutting down it more than 50%, I can say. So even my manager doesn't know that I'm cutting down 50% of my work. But what that is helping me to focus on multiple areas. So it might be to do keyword research. I use the help of GPT to create a website. There were some ChatGPT plugins which will help you to create your complete website from scratch. You just need to give your idea, that's it. You might want to write a landing page copy, it will do that. You might need recommendations to create an advertisement, it will help you to do that. It might be anything. So even to create some illustrations, like I want an image, but that was my idea, like it doesn't exist. So I work for a green hydrogen company, so it mainly focuses on renewable energy and all. We need some images, but it is difficult to capture that image, it might not exist. So with the help of a tool called Midjourney, I'm able to create some images which exactly fulfill my requirements. It's all about like using technology to the best level. So that is what helping me to cut down these costs. So there were many good things about India again. Like I said, like 90% of the people were laid off, and that is not only in the case of India. Many countries are facing the layoffs. Many countries are facing this recession period. But the thing is, before starting, of this internet era, like as previously Keshav discussed, many people think that like internet would kill down all the jobs. But it happened really. 2 to 3 years. I asked, my relatives and seniors who have like 30 plus years of experience. I asked, what's your experience on that internet era, that 2000 or 2001, that phase? Many said it has created a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion to the people, which led to layoffs or which led to mass job cuttings. But the thing is, the reason is not because of the internet, but because of the confusion. Similarly, at this moment, the AI era.
The substance is that it's not AI that will replace you, but the person who is using the AI. Yes, very well put. Very well put.
Even now, people are worrying about AI can replace jobs and all. But the thing is, it's just a confusion.
You have replaced many jobs actually. So by using several technologies, you made several people not to join your company. So pray God all the more. Some sin is accumulating. Yeah.
And one point to add, as we reflect on India's ability, recently Sam Altman visited Delhi. Like one individual asked Sam Altman, like Sam Altman is CEO of OpenAI.
The Mahindra CEO asked him whether if India would be able to create
a own ChatGPT. He said impossible. In a single word, he said impossible. The reason
there's a correction there. In Twitter, he said that was not my intent.
Yes, of course, but the main thing here is like Indians, mainly 90% of the Indians, like we are good, like if you can consider top 5 economies, India has a youth population, like best youth population, like it's at 28.3 is the average age. We have the ability, but the thing is, we always depend that, majority of our youth will always depend that some product will be created from somewhere and we are ready to use that. And also Indian market is mostly dependent on services rather than the products. We have many startups, we have many unicorn startups that we are witnessing. But the thing is, to create some revolutionary product, we always depend on the West. I think if we can reduce that, maybe we can have similar products like ChatGPT.
I agree partly to your point that you see, we should understand ultimately that you see, what was our growth rate in 1950? 2.1%. Our growth rate in 1950 was 2. What was our growth rate in 1560s? I think a famous English economist noted, we were contributing 36% of the world GDP. We fell down to 9. So where were US or where were the West at that point of time? They were actually fighting the world war with their technologies. For a 75-year-old democracy, we did a lot.
Yeah.
I would not even call it a 75-year-old democracy. We are a 25-year-old proper democracy because actual opportunities began in 1991 with LPG. Okay, I think we did a lot. Sam Altman's comment, that's on a different context. I'll clarify that later on. Apurva, what's your take? So from your own industry experience, be it ISB or Oracle or now Amazon.
Thank you for the question, Keshav. So I resonate with the thought that Yashwant is also putting here. There is going to be disruption in technology that we have to agree and accept and reorient ourselves towards that. So being a business graduate and a business operations at Amazon, I try to see things in terms of saving time, increase productivity, cut down costs for Amazon, and how we can bring so much output with less amount of labor. So I try to think everything that I incorporate or strategize in Amazon in these perspectives. So let's go back and think during COVID what happened. Can you tell like some technologies or some disruptions that might have happened during COVID? Can you name a few?
You are the witness to it, so you should tell that.
So the main field that was disrupted during COVID is the EdTech. The Byju's, the other EdTech platforms, they became so quick that they brought nearly 10 to 12 platforms to serve school students, intermediate students, BTech students, and even postgraduate students of nearly 10 crore to 15 crore students across India. So, do you think it was possible? It was possible in a span of one year or 2 years. And platforms like AWS of Amazon played a very keen role in bringing that much infrastructure across India. And currently Amazon gets so much profit but from the AWS platform itself that it is trying to revolutionize the data platforms across the world. For example, it is into data infrastructure and data warehouses area across 30 to 40 countries. And to name a few across Amazon, I would like to ask one of you a life cycle of an Amazon order. Like, can any of you volunteer and tell me like what happens from the time when you place an order and how it gets delivered to you?
So the best answer will be even a book or a certificate. Book certificate is more valuable. You can present it in your placements.
I hope every one of you might be using Amazon for your orders.
Not the best. The first answer will get a certificate.
Just 2-3 steps that you follow while you place an order.
Okay. The first answer will get an internship opportunity. No, sorry, let's cancel. You'll get a certificate.
Add to cart, and after that filling the information, filling our details and order. After that we'll get a tracking link. It will just give updates about the location and where it is received. That's the process.
Can you detail me about like the last step where the delivery happens? Like how do you receive it?
We'll get tracking updates from the seller. It will receive to nearest hub, and the supply chain will go on. Like the logistics team will update at every hub, and they will help us to track more efficiently. At the last, we'll get a call when it reaches to the nearest hub, and the delivery person will deliver to us.
Okay, so got your point. So these are the 4 or 5 steps that you know of, right?
Yeah.
When you place an order at Amazon.
Yes.
Okay, so to detail, there are nearly 1,000 steps, not just these 4 steps, which Amazon tries to optimize before it delivers the order to you. To name a few, I work in last mile operations. When I say last mile, it means the time the delivery boy picks your parcel and he reaches your home. That is called last mile. Okay, so in this last mile, there are nearly 50 to 60 steps that we do to make a cost-effective delivery. For example, do you think like how does the delivery boy understand your address? Do you think the address that you give is the only guided instruction for him? Like, what do you think?
No, like the delivery will be classified based on the pin codes, and there will be nearest hubs for the pin codes, and one delivery person will have some certain amount of area. He will collect all the orders based on the statistics and how many orders are placed and how much efficient he can deliver. It will be classified on that, and the delivery person delivers the order.
Okay, got it. So in summary, that is how it operates. But to make it more cost effective, I will tell you how we do it. So once you input your address on Amazon, right? So we use machine learning algorithms to understand the exact latitude, longitude of your house. For example, you placed an order here. So what we do efficiently is we try to map the geocode of this at the doorstep. Not even anywhere of this institute. I try to mark it at the doorstep where you come and just pick it. So in that way, what Amazon or we are going to achieve is the low cost or the speed of delivery, and how Amazon can serve to all the 100+ countries across the world. So this is called low cost last mile operations, where Amazon is trying to efficiently improve its operations. And you understand, right? This is the technology right now we are in, and in future years, the vision is to do a drone delivery. So understand the point, how much precise the drone should be inputted with the geocode so that it will just come and drop your parcel at the door. So what I want to drive here is, it's not just saving time or saving costs. It's about how effectively you're delivering to your customer. And as a customer-obsessed company, Amazon tries to give that customer gratification or that customer delight. So disruptive technologies are going to be there, and what we technocrats should do is understand the problem, understand the need, or understand the opportunity, and work backwards to build the skills to cater to that need. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Very well put. Your good name?
Sai Ram.
Sai?
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Yeah.
Sai, just. Saram, first of all, very good effort. That's what is known as domain knowledge. AI or anything cannot replace the domain knowledge which a person has, because domain knowledge which a person has is contextual. It's real to what's happening on the ground. So congratulations, you are irreplaceable, and I request you to see if there's any internship opportunity for him, because he has got very good domain knowledge than many of, I think, yet to be placed guys yet to be placed into Amazon. Very well put, Apurva, and of course, don't look at Apurva or Vinay with a lot of this, because these two are the basic culprits. Amazon and Microsoft, these guys are trying to cut jobs like anything. Of course, they're trying to cut jobs here so that you can have different job profiles elsewhere, but don't look up to them. I am warning you before itself. Yeah. So how many of you agree here that from the discussion so far, how many of you agree, or else from the insight you already had, that nature of jobs or job profiles are going to change thanks to the fourth industrial revolution? It's not just fourth industrial revolution, is not ChatGPT. Okay? So there are several things, like email is not just Gmail, right? So there are, it's about IoT, it's about sensors, it's about 3D printing, it's about artificial intelligence. It's just one among many technologies. It's about, if you read Harari, it's about biotechnology, it's about bioinformatics, and how do you club all them? It's about n number of things. How many of you are thinking that there is going to be a, not average, but a significant impact on jobs? You need not answer, raise your hands. There is going to be impact, yes or no? Yes? Yes? Thank you. No? Oh, many are not then. None of the above. Okay, let's take it that there is a lot of yes. So taking it as a yes, I believe it's yes. Here I think we believe it's yes. So how do you think it's going to change? Let's not talk about the 10-year term, because we don't know when the next COVID happens. So how do you think the profiles are going to change, or else in the near term, 3 years and 5 years in your respective industry, Vinay?
Before answering this question, let me add 1-2 points on what was discussed about the job loss and other things. I understand most of you here are from doing AI and IoT course, right? And you are like 21 years going out to the industry to work. So for this audience, you don't even have to have a question of job cut, loss or anything. Because for you, it's actually you should be proud you are in the right line, because the technologies you have studied are going to be mainstream in the coming years. And I echo with what the other panelists have told. Take any revolution, be it like 1.0, 2.0, the steam engine or the mass production. When the 2.0 came, if we are producing like 1 item per day, then we are producing 100 items. But the amount of jobs it created were much more than what are lost. And let's also give some finance perspective to this, okay? So now we are telling AI will be there, and it's the big thing, right? So if you take like world GDP, which is like $100 billion, so ultimately it should add something to that GDP for everyone to build on that opportunity it provides. So the current estimates are roughly it will add like 7 to 10%, maybe like $7 trillion is what the AI world is estimating that will be added. But because that is to world's GDP, that's a big thing. Like $10 trillion is a big thing. That's why we have all this hype and discussions around the AI. The catch here is 90% is still remaining the same, right? So we are looking at the 10%. 10% is a big number we are discussing, but 90% is still the same. So we don't have to really worry about that. And at your age, that question is irrelevant to you, because you're just graduating out of the college.
So let's leave this crowd. Let's talk about why. Why 20? I'll come there. I'll follow up on yours. So what about the, what you call, unskilled? Or else not this crowd. This is only IoT crowd, AI IoT crowd, non-AI, non-IoT crowd.
Unskilled also, let me tell you. For suppose what is unskilled? There is, don't even take this crowd.
And one more point. Let me add one more point here.
Adaptable people, they can learn anything in 6 months and do wonders, right?
One small point. The earlier industrial revolutions fundamentally premised on cheap labor. This is not about cheap labor. This industrial revolution thrives and survives on very intellectual, adaptable, knowledgeable, maybe labor people like you. So, don't you think that's a threat?
I don't think the earlier industrial revolutions are only about cheap labor. If you see, the first one is about mechanical, the invention of the engine, and the second one is about utilities. You got electricity, you got water to your use, and then the mass production came up. And the third is about computers and semiconductors, right?
Correct.
Where lot of manual things, maybe going to an account, bank and opening an account is reduced from 1 month to like 10 days. So in the act of globalization, India is looked at as a resource where we have cheap labor. That is not really the only lever in any of the industrial revolutions that have took place. That's the point number one.
Okay.
And also let me, when you are asking what happens to the very illiterate, think of it something like this. When the natural language processing have gone to this extent, maybe the very unskilled person, he can just converse with a bot in his own mother tongue, not even English, and he tells, okay, I'm looking to learn this, can you teach me? And if the bot teaches him in the same language, then do you think he may not be able to write or read textbook, something like that, but if they teach the skill, he will understand it. It's a voice. That might also come up, like 2-3 years down the line, there can be something which was teaching to him directly and which will assist him, not even teaching. The bot might tell, okay, learning is a old school thing, let's get into work directly. I am your digital twin, I'll give the instructions, you just do it. That's the digital twin concept, right?
Yes.
Now, in SAP, if you see companies like Shell or something, the motors and everything is so complex when they take out oil from earth. And so, entire industrial equipment is modeled in a 3D way, and that 3D model is already available in digital twin, where the digital twin is exactly giving you, you remove the screw number 36, put it here and lock it, you're done. So, when the instruction is at that level, anyone and everyone can learn and upskill. This will only make their lives much more better and happier.
So what about the 3-year and 5-year changes? What do you see?
3-year, 5-year changes, it's the same thing what I told previously. In financial terms, that's the amount it was going to get added. Maybe in a little longer term, like by 2030 or so. What else we will see is, think of AI now as how cloud is at 2005. In 2005, we are just shifting from internet and servers model to cloud. That's the stage we are in AI now. 15 years or 10 approximately to 15 years, the cloud AI will be at the range now the cloud is.
Okay.
Cloud is still growing at a good CAGR of 20%. Maybe it can go for 20 more years, because only the Fortune 500 companies might have migrated to cloud, and much more of them, the large enterprises,
Servers.
still did not
Yes.
migrated. They are still in the old school. However, companies are eyeing even higher growth rates.
Yeah.
They are not satisfied with 20, they want to hit 30, 35, 40. That's where they're always looking for new trends to catch up with, because once they catch that trend, they'll be able to add a lot of value to it.
So not a big change. So some hope from Vinay. How do you see, as both as an entrepreneur or a startup person and also as an educationist, how do you see that coming 3 to 5 years are going to be? So what changes are going to come?
I remember something reading about a couple of months ago, where humans in general try to overestimate what they can do in a short term and underestimate what they can do in coming decades.
Yes.
So I feel like when we talk about 3 to 5 years, especially this generation, I don't think we are seeing or expecting anything less than realistic.
Less than?
Anything less than realistic.
Okay.
So what I feel is, as I said, me personally, I don't think 3 to 5 years is like where you suddenly will be, having a flying car or, something like that. For me, as I said, if I am going to be realistic about this case, the next 3 to 5 years, the policymakers and the educational institutions should make sure they, again, so what happens is for some reason when we want to have a cool outlook on the job culture and all, we always try to promote jobs as something lower or underrated compared to an entrepreneur or a business starter.
Yeah.
But even when you said the word, the cheap labor.
Yeah.
As he already pointed out, it really wasn't the cheap labor. We just keep forgetting that the cheap labor word came up because let's say we have an IT professional coming from VVIT. The guy, even if he gets about, let's say, an average package of 6 lakhs per annum, the company like Amazon, when it pays that 6 LPA, for them it is the cheap labor because in their economy they were going to pay some 60,000 or 80,000 for a guy that graduated at Penn State. Doesn't mean it is cheap labor for India. Most of the people here, if you can think about it, if you are getting 6 LPA, think to your heart how many of your family members from the previous generations were able to get 6 LPA at 40 or 50 years of age, be it our parents or uncles and aunties. So is it really cheap labor in India? I don't think the tech crowd in India is cheap labor. It is just cheaper when you compare it with other countries' economy, where the costing is also way more expensive to live compared to India.
50 to 60,000 is for the IT crowd. When I'm referring to cheap labor, it's about the non-IT. I think I think in the recent book, Whole Numbers, Half Truths, if you get, I think, 50 to 60,000 per month, you are among the top 10% in India. We are not talking about that. Cheap labor refers to the rest of 80-90%.
So that way, then India was kind of also, again, policymakers would know it. I don't think China really gave us an option to be considered as a cheap crowd, because even today, with all the money in the world in China, I'm quite sure about the math where we say if somebody has money to start a factory, as long as there is no legal hurdles, it is way more effective or price effective to build it in China than India. Can you believe that? Even at this point where China is 10 times bigger economy than us, the factories or the companies or industries are able to set up more profitable ventures there than compared to here. So, and both of our countries are about half the globe population.
Yep.
So I really don't think the world is looking at as the real cheap labor, because if it is so, I don't think Amaravati should be, barren land right now. Does it make sense? So when we are discussing majorly about IT is when the world looks at us as the cheap labor, where let's say instead of paying $80,000 to a software employee, we are okay to, like Amazon, Google, TCS, Infosys, like when we talk about it, those are the jobs that are newly created in India over last couple of decades compared to the older ones. The reason why they're able to be created at that rapid pace for last 10-15 years is because it is cheaper for those companies to spend their US dollar and INR to be able to hire these people. Because the work culture has changed. For example, let's say you're sitting here. You cannot work in a factory that is in US. That was never a possibility till this tech revolution happened, when you said 1991 is really where the growth cycle or the hype cycle of India has changed. The reason was, you can sit here and be part of an American company. But can I be sitting here and work for an...
Yep. That holds true for the skilled labor. Skilled labor can be cheap. Leave the cheap labor part. Unskilled. It's about unskilled labor, not the cheap labor. We are a cheap labor for US. My role, I think, gets $1.5 lakh per year in US. I get lesser. It's not about unskilled labor. What's the future? How is the world going to change for them, not this lot? This lot, yes, we are on the same page. Yeah.
So I was in Rajkot for a Y20 event, and I was on my way to the venue in the car, and there was an under construction building which had a huge wraparound advertisement. It had a green screen, text box. The UI resembled ChatGPT, and they said, "Hey ChatGPT, build this."
Wow.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
So I'll answer.
I wish that idea is not given by ChatGPT.
No, but I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
Before that, I just have a quick question for the audience. Somewhere around 2012 to 2015, we had these collectible cards that had come out. You know, you had IPL players, you had WWE wrestlers, you had Pokemon cards. How many of you collected them? Raise of hands. Yeah? How many of you still use them today? You know, when investing started, Wall Street had a boom and they hired brokers like nobody's business. And then the financial bubble burst and they lost all the brokers. Same thing happened with the real estate. When people started getting money, there were a lot of real estate brokers, there were a lot of real estate developers. Then the bubble burst and we lost the real estate brokers. Similarly, when COVID happened, we had edutainment and we had a lot of coders coming in. You know, people were giving whatever they wanted to the coders to just bring them on board so they could push their products out into the market.
Yeah.
Same thing is happening right now. With AI, everybody's so excited about getting their product into the market. There's a huge demand. But there'll be a time when this bubble bursts and AI will become the norm. Then there'll be a new product. The reason behind the IPL card is the same thing. You know, we get a new toy, we're very excited about it. We collected a bunch, but that's it. There's no more use for it after 3 years. So that's my answer to your 3 to 5 year question. And second, when we talk about unskilled labor, what's the future for unskilled labor? See, when we talk about, when you said cheap labor, right? That was the case when there was a lack of social security in India, when there was a lack of minimum wage in India, and when there was a lack of overall respect for laborers in India, you know, when they had nobody to raise their concerns or their voices for. But when we talk about today's India, right? You're all coders here. How many of you have taken up freelance work ever? I'm fourth year students, I'm imagining some of you must have, or if not, how many of you are aware that there are freelance opportunities? You know, there's Freelancer, there's Behance. Raise of hands. Yeah? This was limited to the transport industry earlier.
Yep.
That was it. Then came the design industry. Then came the coders. Then came the finance guys. And now every single industry has gig economy in it. Every single economy is taking up multiple clients at the same time. While this is happening, how do you protect these gig economy workers? So the government again came out, is planning changes to the labor
Code of
reforms.
security, yeah.
We have a minimum wage decided now. There's social security systems being put into place. There is multiple schemes like Manrega. Then there is, you have your Mudra loans.
Pension Yojana, yeah.
Pension Yojana. So all these things are being done to ensure these unskilled laborers' futures are protected. You know, you have very recently, I don't know how many of you will know this, the postal department came out with an insurance scheme. It is called Shramik Suraksha Yojana. The idea is how can we protect the laborers of our nation from accidents basically. If they have complete paralysis or they have partial paralysis or due to unfortunate circumstances there's a death in the death of the particular laborer. How do you protect that family? These social security schemes or these social security nets are now in place to ensure that these unskilled laborers will always have a place in India's economy. And secondly, multiple skilling options. You know, you have your ITIs, you have the National Skill Development Corporation of India, who are creating multiple programs on a daily basis to ensure that these unskilled laborers can also be skilled in one in one format or the other and can be brought to the skilled economy part of it as well. So I don't think there is a the day is far when we will have a large amount of Indians who belong to the skilled part rather than the unskilled part. And there's a very simple reason for it. Indians by nature, or rather by our DNA, we are extremely adaptable. Because you see, when we're born, right, when Indians are born, we speak two languages. We're bilingual or multilingual by default. You have one mother tongue that you speak, there's something that you speak in the school, and if there's an opportunity, you learn a third language in your school. Americans learn English, speak in English, and that's the only thing they know. When they feel adventurous, they learn another language. Indians by default are multilingual. So that has already programmed our brains to think in different perspectives. We're very quick to pick up skills. The amount of time it takes for an average Indian to pick up a skill is way shorter than the amount of time it takes an average American or an average European, which is why Indian workforce is preferred globally. If you look at any of the multinational companies, there's a reason they're being led by Indians or people of Indian origin. It's this reason. So I don't think the day is very far where we see a large amount of the Indian population belonging to the skilled workforce rather than the unskilled one. But that doesn't mean that we're giving up on our unskilled workforce. There's a lot of things that are being done, and there's a lot of things that has to be done to ensure that their rights and interests are protected.
Very well put. I have a quick question for the entire panel on this. You see, I read this very interesting insight, and this has been forced very strongly, that you see, it's generally said in almost every state that, okay, you have two husbands or two wives. One is the one you are married to and the other is work. Okay? The point is, with AI, with a lot of your cognitive abilities on what you should see, what you should watch, your decisions, okay, several things being dictated by the AI, don't you think the meaning of work is coming down and there'll be a lot of meaninglessness in human existence? This is what Harari puts it. Harari says that as the AI progresses, as you get yourself more tuned to algorithms, okay, your free will is deputed to algorithms, okay, and you lose the actual meaning that you have in your life, and there'll be a lot of meaningless crowd and few people controlling all the resources. Let's leave the second part, the communist part, but how do you think that when much of your active work is deputed, there is meaninglessness in your work?
For anyone who wants an existential crisis, there is a documentary on social media on Netflix. I'd recommend you check it out. It basically tells you how social media apps and tech companies, as my fellow panelists, are using their algorithms to manufacture will in you. They implant ideas and subconsciously make you believe what you want. But I believe that's always been the case. It's not technology's fault, When you were living with the Romans, you thought it was a great idea to invade the Byzantine Empire, not because of technology, because of your peers. Humans have always been consciences that are continuously, impacted by others. We learn from other people. To a certain extent, yes, I do believe that technology influences our decisions, but I don't believe that it completely diminishes the idea of free will. Because at the end of the day, it's the human who uses the technology. One of the brilliant examples that I would give is, Google and Apple, they both had their product launches very recently. If you saw Google's launch, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a parody video of Sundar Pichai as well, just saying the word AI. Because he said AI so many times in the entire product launch, right? And that really freaked people out. And then there was the Apple launch, which said everything it wanted to say, but did not use the word AI or generative AI a single time. People still understood what they wanted to say. So this is the thing, that we need to stop being afraid of buzzwords. Buzzwords have created such a havoc in all professional industries. Because anyone, when they don't know what they're talking about, they often resort to just throwing buzzwords, and that intimidates the other person into thinking, oh, this man knows so much, that he's probably the expert on this topic. That is often not the case. So we need to start being afraid of technology. Technology is a tool, like they say that the knife is never evil, it's the wielder. It can be used to, create something delicious, it can be used to harm somebody. The knife is never evil. Similarly, it's us who have to decide how we want to use that technology, how much this now, because we've realized we have options on how we share data with these apps. So, just take a while, go into the permissions of your phone, take a look at what the apps are asking you of. And very often you can say no, choose not to share said data with them. That's how you protect your free will to a certain extent, I would say. And moving on from that, it is you who have to decide how you want this particular technology to shape the world. Because there is a Terminator waiting for us as well, and there's a Back to Future waiting for us as well. It's up to us what way we want to go,
Yeah, very well put. That's a very optimistic way of seeing things, and I wish the world is exactly. Before that, I have a question for you. How many of you have chosen this option, like, okay, you want to use Amazon, and Amazon wants your personal details, like your address, where you stay, what are your tastes. If you say no, Amazon won't give you the permission. Will you give it, or else will you say, my privacy is important, I am not going to use the Amazon app? How many of you here are going to choose free will over using the Amazon app? Hands raise. So how many will choose Amazon and give the details? Thank you. How many are going to say no to Amazon? I'm not going to it's because you'll watch me from now on, you'll watch me from now on. How many of you are going to? One. Very good. Thank you. Number two, how many of you actually read the permissions list, at least one in our life? I think I have some 50 apps. I have signed up to many. How many of you have actually read the permissions document? Congrats. Very good. Next. So, this picture of humans actually frightens me, that we don't read the permissions. And they are designed such that we don't read the permissions. Even I have not read. Let me confess, I have never read. If you want data or this, please take my data. So that's how we go. So that's how they are getting the power and they are dictating us. Anyways.
I'll just add, let me rephrase it. I don't think people really have to read it. It's fine if they read it, but it's more with the policy to protect the people. And around the world, in Europe, they came up with GDPR. In Singapore, there is very, very good law. India is also thinking to bring some law.
Privacy law, yeah.
So it's fine. We don't. It's not existential question. It's fine. Just skim through it. The top layer, below layer will be taken care of law.
So actually, what we do is, I think you saw this famous reel, wherein the wife goes to the husband's phone and she keeps on telling best gifts to give to the wife on a vacation. Best wig, so that machine learning will learn that and it will give pass on those suggestions to the husband. So we actually want it all the more, forgetting the other parts of it. You have something to add? Yeah.
So basically, adding to the same thing earlier, when you say that the pie is going to be controlled by very few people and most others are going to be meaningless. Meaningless lives. What was the word?
I'll send you the article. Meaninglessness of life. Or else meaninglessness of existence.
To Devan's answer, where it has been the same, and a lot of concepts in sociology always said the best governments or best companies are where they make you like they feel you that, or they make you feel that you have a free will, but actually not.
Yeah.
There is never a company or a government with a free will in realistic sense, and there's a lot of concepts around it. But putting that aside, so we have users of all the platforms like, Amazon, Uber, Ola, Zomato, Swiggy. Just raise the hands whoever is using this. So basically everybody, right? One or the other. So, in Andhra we got used to price hikes a lot, but putting that aside, if the central government comes out and says, they're going to increase 10% income tax, who is going to support it? Whose parents are going to support it? Basically nobody. So if we notice that when it comes to the matters of policy or the government, it is a time-tested model where it is very open to the public. So we are very sensitive to the few percentiles that keeps changing. Let's say, Sitaramanji basically changed the lower income from 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs to remove the income tax. People are, let's say, at least one segment of people are happy about it. So now, if we are changing just a couple of % in income tax, the people's opinions in crores change. What I don't understand is every single company, including Amazon that we just discussed about, has margins more than your whole income tax on each of your expense.
Very well put. I'll give you a stat compared to from 2012 compared to now. Amazon has grown from Microsoft has grown from $300 billion to $2.7 trillion. India is a $3.6 trillion economy. We are almost equal. Yeah.
So coming back to it, let's say we order something from Zomato, right? Let's say we order a biryani of 300 rupees. How much do you think Zomato as a company makes in the transaction? Take a wild guess. About 40%, including the price differences they're able to create in the menu pricing along with the restaurant. So they're making 10 to 15% from the client side and 20% or more from the user side of things. So can you imagine paying 40% income tax in India? We don't even pay properly 10-20% as a country. So what should happen in this case is that's where companies like Freela and other decentralized companies should come up pretty soon, for which we are expecting some policy changes in next coming years. Because let's take an Upwork or some freelancing platform. So once you come, the average freelancing platform is going to charge you about 20 to 25% of your transactional value. For example, let's say somebody in Bombay gave you a work in Guntur and pays you like 10,000 for your week of effort, let's say. Can you imagine some random platform that just facilitated this, taking away 2,500 rupees of your transaction? But that is the norm, and they are multi-billion-dollar companies right now. So if at all, I feel like if you want to add some point in the policy making from the Y20 side of things, I would like to suggest that we need some policies supporting decentralization of it also. Because take my company as example, which one element of it is, I'm not really proud of it, is we are registered at DIFC Dubai. So which is like the most premium registration in the east side of the globe. Why do you think I need to go from here and register my company there and file my taxes there and everything? The reason is, with India's policy making, we really never know when can something just go havoc with blockchain, or when we talk about technologies 4.0, if the policy making is not as quick as the developments in the corporate structures or academia is doing, the people and the companies are ready to just move out of the country to facilitate their transfers. It's not that I love Dubai more, but it is just that the moment you start a blockchain company in India, the legal is on you. The RBI says you are not allowed to do a banking transaction for a blockchain company, or they make a fuss about it, and the Supreme Court comes in 6 months and says RBI has no right. But does the bank allow here? Probably not. You probably experienced it if you got involved in a blockchain firm. So I feel like if there is one thing that we can really add in the Y20, the list that you are going to present in the final, policy making should be very proactive, like say Singapore or Dubai. Without that, the quality entrepreneurs are out of this place. And it's for a good reason, because nobody wants to go to jail for doing right things. So please add it.
And that was a fantastic pitch for Freela. I wish you actually start using it. I am actually very much into it. I wish I used Freela all the more. Yeah.
So coming to the Freela itself, the same reason. Then we go to the person that has said, building an open AI in India is impossible. So if you've gone through the whole explanation of it, it wasn't a vague statement. Let me be honest with you here. When he said that it is impossible for India to build an open AI, it is his understanding of things way more than what we really see. Because when we talk about OpenAI, how much funding did they, were they able to raise in US?
Correct.
Can the companies do 1/10 of it in India?
Correct.
And there were hundreds of companies that were able to do it in India. Can we do 100th of it in here? So when it comes to finance, and again, would we really waste time putting our resources and paying money to Amazon to put our stock on Amazon? Probably not. So when you are building a marketplace, we need to just make sure there is enough market on both sides of it, or there is a demand and supply curve that needs to be set up. So I'll take a simple guess. So basically, there is like more than 150 English-speaking countries, right? So what do you think is the percent of transactions just between India and US? Just two countries in 150 countries. Let's say there are 100, number of transactions and also 100 rupees worth of transactions. How much percentage of this is happening just between India and US? Just take a wild guess. Just two countries in 150 plus English-speaking countries. Take a wild guess, it's fine, just two countries. Close, but that itself is a weirdly high number. So they say 40%. Do you know the right answer?
I don't know the right answer, but I know that the highest first India, second is China.
Correct, but first...
Remittances, sorry.
It contributes to 70% of the transactions. Official numbers given by the Upwork, the best freelancing platform as of today market. What is that? It is 70%. So basically last year, Upwork has said that 70% of the transactions are only happening between India and US. Can you imagine just two countries basically being 70% of the whole freelancing volume? And when he asked, how many of us know what is freelancing? Barely 10%. How many of us actually use? Not 1%. So it is if you think about it, it is literally just untapped market. When none of us even know it or has ever done a contract, imagine having 70% of the volume. Now imagine 10% of these people are going to be acting as freelancers. Can you imagine the volume percentage of India and US?
Yeah.
It's probably 95.
Yeah.
So the scope of freelancing is very high for the next decade or so in India. But what I am trying to address with Freela is, we don't want the meaningless lives to be gathering around the tech platforms anymore, like, you know, the other companies that we discussed about, where they take 40%, 30% of the transactions to be able to run so. So with Freela, what we want to try to do is have a decentralized pie and just create a decentralized marketplace where the free market decides what is the...
You'll be able to match it rightly, yes.
Exactly. We
Demand
just
and
going
supply, yeah.
Exactly. Just make sure the efficient matching exists, and you can always even, as Apurva said, a company is trying to be profitable. There is no doubt about it. But the profits doesn't always have to be where you run a parallel government.
Yeah.
You can always build value-added services for it. Let's say with Byju's and all, as he mentioned. So there is an edtech company on every street of Hyderabad and Bangalore today. Every street, if you think about it. So if you really have few lakhs of freelancers or few lakhs of students onboarded on a platform where they are comfortably getting their work done without paying so much fee.
Yep.
Do you know the amount of revenue that can be generated from the tech companies and marketing companies, retail companies and all, to be able to market and sell courses to this user body?
No.
That itself is a huge revenue where is enough for a successful company to build enough.
Yeah.
And at the same time maintain the decentralization aspect where you don't control the pricings and heavy margins of the transactions between people.
Yeah.
So that is where Freela comes in.
Very well put. I think that is one very clear direction in which Industry 4.0 is taking us. More and more gig, more and more freelancing. So you want to add something?
What I want to add also is it's not about only us telling our perspectives. It's about you also, because this discussion finally should add some value when you leave the room. So just ask some questions. What do you think in your mind are bothering you? Some of the panelists.
One last question, and before that, Yashwant, okay, we saw the future from what the other panelists and especially we had the discussion we had regarding Freela. Gig is going to be one mainstay. So a lot of freelancing, a lot of gig. So if taking that, so what do you think are the skills we need to unlearn, relearn or reskill? Because you have been on the ground. So what skills would you advise? So we'll take this on the skills needed and then we'll throw it open.
Sure. I mean, dividing that like unlearn, relearn and reskill. So first of all, like unlearn. The first thing that we need to unlearn is the way to find we need to find out a way to replace repetitive based tasks. So that is something that we need to unlearn. If you can see many of the companies, if you can say many of the MNC companies in India, ask your seniors like whether they have joined the company that they have got or not, because many of the companies have postponed the onboarding process. Do you know the reason? Because most of the companies in India have clients from West. So many, the situation is West is not really good because they are highly depending on freelancing economy, and they are eliminating most of the manual jobs. And manual jobs are, if you can say like, if you can take 1 to 2 years from now, you won't see manual jobs. More than 90% of the manual jobs that exist today will get replaced by automation. So you need to make sure, like if you are a student, ask yourself this question, like what are the manual jobs, what are the repetitive tasks that you are doing which are not adding any value to you. It might be writing records or assignments. Of course, like that comes from the high level, I'm not arguing on that. But the thing is, like you need to know which manual tasks are killing your time and you need to find a way to replace them. That is something that you need to unlearn. And talking about relearn, we need to relearn like how to network with people. Let's suppose I will ask 2 questions, just raise your hand if you know that. These are 2 questions which are most searched in Google. What is quantum supremacy? Can you raise your hand if you know that? I don't want answer from you, just raise your hand if you heard the word quantum supremacy. Only 1. Okay, now I will ask other question. What is Project K? I think most of you know.
So what he is telling
Project
is
K.
that interesting things should be said as movies. So that's the lesson he is giving.
Not like that. Like we need, both are important. I agree. But the thing is,
if only quantum supremacy came in the form of Project K, we would have learned. Not our mistake.
I mean, if you can see in your social media, if you open your Instagram or Twitter or not LinkedIn, but WhatsApp story, whatever it might be, mostly your status would be filled with Project K glimpse or something. So that is the reason why you got that excitement, right? You want to know about Project K. Most of my friends, like, they wake up at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. just to watch the glimpse. The reason is many of the people in their network are talking about that so-and-so thing. But if you can see, quantum supremacy is also trending, because Google's quantum computer recently finished a task in 6 seconds, which would have taken the world's fastest computer 47 years. So that is really big news. More than AI, that is great news. But not many of us knew that. The reason is our network. See, the reason why I came to know that is because, like, I organized my network in such a way that I see those kind of posts whenever I open my LinkedIn or Twitter. So similarly, it is something that you should know. Learn to network with the right people. It's okay. Even like in my Instagram, like, I use it to make sure that I get only entertainment content. But there are few specifications for me whenever I open my Twitter or LinkedIn. I use it to make sure I get content that I wanted to read, because the timings, like, if I feel like I will open Twitter from 9 to 10 in the night, I need to make sure I get the quality information, because I create content every single day. So I want to make sure I am updated with the latest tech trends. So this is something that you should know, because if you don't know what opportunities are lying in front of you, then you may miss many. And when talking about reskill, the adaptability, just an adaptability. One of my electrical engineer friend, like, he's working as an electrical engineer. I asked him this question, like, I'm using ChatGPT and all, like, I'm posting many videos about ChatGPT. He asked me, what is ChatGPT? I said, because it is trending since 6 months, like, didn't you know that? He said, ChatGPT is not my subject, right? It is the area of tech people. I asked, who are the tech people? You're not using tech, you're not using smartphone. Because most of us, even including majority of the people sitting in this auditorium, many of us think that technology or any other branch of area is belonging to specific stream or a specific area. That is absolutely wrong. If someone is talking about finance, make sure you put your eyes on that, like, at least learn what people are talking. Because if you don't know, if everyone around you is talking about something, then ultimately, like, there is some importance attached to it. So that is something that you need to make sure you reskill to adapt. You should adapt to whatever is trending, whatever most people around you are discussing. So these are the three concepts, I believe, like, you need to unlearn the repetitive task, you need to relearn how to network with people, and you need to be reskilled with adapting to whatever latest or whatever is trending. See, no one will talk about everything, right? If majority of the people are talking, which means there is something add-on value to that. So you need to make sure you recognize that. So I believe, like, these are the three. One should unlearn, relearn, and reskill.
Yeah, so very well put. So I think there's this beautiful column on what how we need to equip with the onset of AI by David Brooks. He tells that AI will only push you to be more human, because some of human things are taken by machine. So at least the human component of you should come out all the more. And one good component of humans is to network well. So the suggestion is that you need to network, you need to have an eye on ground, etc. For that, you need to use Twitter. Twitter not as a standalone thing. So don't take Twitter and leave there. Use Twitter for networking. That's what he's telling, right? Apurva, your last take.
So till now, I want to add a point on what the AI can't do. So all the panel have touched upon or stressed upon how the AI is disrupting, or how the AI can transform our lives, or how much automation it can bring in next 10 to 15 years. So the panel has already touched and stressed upon it. So now I want to bring some point which the AI can't do. So AI is able to duplicate so much of human interactions, and so much data is able to understand and analyze. But still, what the AI can't do is, it can't understand a human emotion, or it can't facilitate a human expression, or it can't direct you towards what you have to do. So I feel the next set of industrial revolution is going to happen around this area, which the AI can't facilitate the human expression or human emotion, which is the arts field. So if you go back and have a look at the Robo movie, the professor has built a robo, but it was not able to have an emotion in it or have a direction towards its emotion. It played foully, or it was distracted at the end because it was not able to imbibe that cognitive ability and work towards a directional or a good change. For a good change, it was not able to work. So the human emotion or the human expression or the human cognitive ability is still a sector that has so much opportunity in it. And from our Indian arts, culture and heritage, you can go back and rethink how you can create opportunity or how you can create tech platforms around it or bring together so many artists around the world onto a common platform. So I would like to end by saying that go back, keep your mind to thinking that what sort of platforms using your technical abilities you can bring and group all these art, culture, heritage related fields together. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Apurva. Apurva has actually added one very important insight. Actually, she has thrown open, or else she has given you a few startup ideas, if you have heard it well. There are several areas around us with a lot of skills, brimming with a lot of skills. Take the art, for example, what are the 80 Kopaka toys, or else as the ODOP scheme that Devansh has pointed out. There's a lot nearby which need to be modernized, which need to be, where you need to deploy a lot of IR 4.0 and you can connect it to the market, which is not happening. Each opportunity, Mahadev has also said, you have a number of opportunities around where you can come up with your own startup ideas, where I think the breeding ground, at least for our area or in this area, is the art, culture, tourism area where there's a lot of scope. And Apurva, as I have heard, has done a humongous work, and you can talk to her on that. So this is one area where if you are able to deploy the skills that you got here, there's a lot of things that can happen. Because as she said, if there is an industrialization 5.0, it will be in that field. So I hope you take it very well. And now let's keep it open.
Just one last thing. I want to leave you, before we take your questions, I have one question for all of you. One of the best marketing institutes in the nation, very recently, I think 6 months ago, when it came out with its entrance exams, they had a question on it. The question was, will AI ever replace human stupidity? And then they asked...
unbeatable.
Pardon?
That is unbeatable, sorry.
And then they asked the applicants to write a love ballad about their car. That's the question that I leave you with. Will AI ever replace human stupidity or creativity? Please think and dwell on it. And now we can take questions. Yes, obviously.
First. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question to I'm replacing our 9-to-5 jobs by this content creating or any other YouTube channels and social media influencers. How do you think they'll help us with what we have learned in this industry 4.0 skills and other things?
I mean, you mean replacing 9 to 5 with content creation or something like that? No, in general, it is not possible to replace 9 to 5 with content creation, because even I have a full-time job. I do work as a digital marketing manager, but content creation, whatever I was doing, is something which is out of the scope. So I can say, I advise people, most of my audience were students. I only say one thing: follow career cushioning. There is a concept called career cushioning. You know what cushion is, right? You use pillows and you use cushions. Career cushioning is all about have one backup skill. Even in most complex situation, that skill will help. It might be content creation for me, and by following content creation, what helped me is I learned video editing, I learned graphic designing, I learned content research. So I am able to learn many skills because of that. It's not that I'm going to replace my full-time job with content creation, maybe sometime, but it's not because you need to have one career cushion. So that is why it might be content creation, or it might be something else for you. You are a good dancer, you can you can do gigs. There will be many freelancing gigs out there. So you will be, it might be you're a graphic designer. You know that, but you're working as some software engineer kind of thing, where you don't have scope to do that. you can register on freelancing platforms to do that. It's not that you're replacing your secondary career option with first career option, but you need to have the balance of both. And you can only do that by by becoming the perfect or top 10% at your primary work. I hope it answers.
Yeah, Mahadev.
I have a little different opinion on it. So, earlier, can you hear me, everybody? So basically, I just wanted to add it earlier and I forgot to mention it. When we are talking about anything new or anything that's pioneering, we shouldn't forget that there are certain skills that are also important, not just the technical abilities of a human being. You can call it soft skills, you can call it extracurricular activities, you can call it whatever. The confidence that you need to have while you're trying to do well in any new field. It doesn't matter if it is blockchain, it doesn't matter if it is data analytics, it doesn't, 10 years ago, computer science or being an engineer was something, computer engineer was something very different than what people were used to back then. So, if at all we are trying to do something new, we can make it full time. That's not a problem at all. I've seen a lot of freelancers that, as you said earlier, were working for 10 companies as a designer or something, and it's just 1 hour a day for each company, and he's making more money than any of the engineers that I personally know of, and it is unimaginable. So as earlier we spoke about engineers making $1.5 lakh. Believe me when I say the guy I was talking about is making 500K or more just by doing design work. Like designing text, designing presentations, or writing content for companies and all. But with the freelancing and with the tech era, the thing is, if you are a capable person, you can do much more. As I said earlier, instead of building one building, you can build 10 buildings now. So instead of doing the same work for one company which was underpriced back then, you can do it into 10 times if you are a capable person. But for that, we should For that, what we need to focus is, we need to be a little more proactive than a person that is trying to live a normal life. So for example, let's say a normal life person just comes to school, or comes to college, let's say he gets a placement, goes back home, is comfortable, okay, that's where it ends. But if you want to be part of any new technology, any new business, any new field, you should make sure that we learn proactive skills where we participate in student activities council. Let's say our friend here, he was part of the student activities council in KL. From then he has been hustling it out in different things. Let's say Bhargav has encouraged a lot of our early SAC batches. And now you see, you're personally in the SAC, right? So you do see the difference of soft skills of a SAC person and an average non-SAC person. The reason is, it's not that they're smarter or they're something different than the other person. It is just that they were proactive enough to be participating in the student activities or the executive roles of different bodies. So if at all anybody wants to do really well in new fields or so, just know that I'm quite confident about this advice. Just make sure you are very proactive, take advantages. Let's say there are a lot of people on this stage. Usually, let's say to meet Devansh, I might have to take an appointment myself when I go to Delhi. Imagine the hardship it would be for you to communicate with them or communicate to the ministers. So whenever you get an opportunity, just ask a question. Let's say you did your part, you asked your question. The same way, take some part, try to think out loud. Nobody is going to judge you here. Nobody is giving you marks here. Let's say she was talking about the Amazon delivery process. How many of us would have a chance to actually know how the system is going to work behind the screen? To be part of those mechanisms, we need to ask questions. We need to be proactive. We need to get better at soft skills. Without all of it, if we are really okay with being like this, it is okay, you're going to live a normal life. The other day I saw Sunil Chetri, the football player the celebrated football player of India. He was saying one thing, if you really want to live a normal life, it's wonderful. Just, lot of pioneers have created wonderful things for your life. You can comfortably live, order Amazon stuff, eat Swiggy food, sleep comfortably in a AC room. So that's where it ends though. But if you want to cross that, there is only one way, effort. Leave the smarts aside. There is a lot of smart people who have ended their life in rot, and there are a lot of not very smart people that have done miracles with the effort. So just make sure, be proactive, be putting more efforts than an average person that you see, and automatically you will reach heights in all the new fields and so on. So yes, so when you're talking about how you can make new age fields your full-time job, you can. You just need to push enough for it and you will be able to do so.
So what Mahadev in a different way tells is that for meaninglessness of life, you don't need what you call ChatGPT or AI to come and do it to you. By keeping quiet itself, you can accumulate a lot of meaninglessness in your life. So participate more.
So that motivation, let's go for the next question.
One from that corner, please. That's it. Yeah, not you, not you. Next chance. That person who is thinking a lot, please. One question.
Actually, let's give a chance to the girls. I think they are going to be more active anyways.
Anyways is a big word. Come on. You have to. 2 certificates, not 1. So at least live up to the reputation. One from this.
I want to ask you that earlier you have mentioned that how many of you know about what is Project Cave? Like that, the step-by-step increase in enormous technology increase will cause a future world like that. If yes, why are we still going to increase this technology?
We are not increasing the technology here. We are just evolving.
Yeah, please.
I think we are just evolving. Like if you can say like why we are, let's suppose you are traveling in a train, let's suppose you assume that. So your ultimate destination is like to travel in a flight. I mean, if you can take a poor guy or a middle class guy, what you can expect is like to grow in life. Similarly, companies or brands need to grow their business. How can they grow business? By eliminating manual tasks. How can they eliminate manual tasks? By automating. What is automation? A technology again. So we are not creating many technologies, because of irrelevancy. We need technologies. Like technology makes us lead a comfortable life, right? If you are traveling in flights, which means like a flight was a technology. It was an invention. So if no one feel like we already have wheels, we already have motor vehicles, why we need an aeroplane or a flight, then no one would have invented that, right? So technology, we are not inventing technologies without relevance, but any company like want to make profits, and how can they make profits? By giving you a comfortable life. If Zomato or Swiggy are growing, irrespective of profits or losses or business sheets, if they are getting popular, the reason is they are making you comfortable, like to order online and eat in your comfort. So that is the use case, that is the solution that you built for the problem. What is the problem? Like we need to travel. If it's raining or if it's hot sun, we need to travel to restaurants to eat. But Swiggy or Zomato is solving the problem. Take an example of Ola or Uber. The reason why they are popular is because they are solving the problem for people who don't own vehicles. They now can book vehicles on their smartphone itself. So that is also a technology, right? So technology always makes you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable, you will pay money. You will pay money, they will increase their growth. Think from a business point of view. Whenever you feel like why a particular technology exists, think from the business point of view. If you own a business, your ultimate goal is to get profits, no matter what. So similarly, business are thinking in that way, and that is the reason why technology is evolving. It might be ChatGPT and GPT-4, and now GPT-5 is also coming. Because they want business, they want profits. That's the answer.
So, picking up a small point from here, one question for you, Apurva. You see, a technology affects different sections in different ways. Especially, let's confine to gig. Maybe you can also intervene here. How do you think it's going to change the work culture or nature of work for women? Because we saw all the reports which tells that if women participation increases, our GDP increases by X and Y and Z. So how do you think gig is going to change things for women?
So I would like to quote an example during my ISB times. So there was a problem that this organization is facing. So the organization is named Vasavya, and it tries to connect with women across Andhra Pradesh who have undergone sexual abuse and domestic violence. So it is sort of a shelter for them and tries to create opportunities for these women for their self-sustainability. So this is the organization that I have worked with, and this is the problem that these women are facing. So the women are developing products like jute bags, handmade jewelry, a chappal, and other things which they are not aware of the markets. So what I did with them is I tried, and these women are unskilled. When I say unskilled, they don't know the basic finances. They don't know how the calculations work. They don't know how to market their products, or they don't know what exactly what they are making is impacting the people who are using it. So these are that kind of women, and what I have done with them is I tried to understand what Amazon sellers which Amazon sellers can associate with them, and who can take their products to the nearby Amazon hubs, keep it there, and create marketing platforms for that. So I sort of did that exercise with these women, and this is all small and medium scale enterprising only. So I sort of encouraged women there to come onto the platforms, sell their products, and gain money for their self-sustainability. So I would encourage my fellow girls and women here, try to understand, even without the knowledge of technology, how these women are coming forward and selling their products. So even with basic knowledge, so many women are coming forward and trying to make effective markets or profitable markets. So with your technology or with your knowledge or with the AI innovation that you are learning, so go back, think, understand how much you can do or how much you can contribute to the society. So yeah.
So gig can definitely change things in a big way. I think of late I've heard a word called mompreneurs. So it's expected that after a woman conceives, it's difficult for her to come back. With gig, they are able to be enterprising right from home. So it's a good thing forward, yeah.
Something to add to the same thing Apurva was saying, I'll take a quick guess from Devant. So let's say we have something called Chairman's Club at our college. So which means that they are the top 5 rankers of every class. Let's say we take an average batch, any average batch in VVIT, and now we're lucky to say, or we're happy to say that we have exactly 50-51 percentile girls student ratio and the boy students. In fact, we had more girls ratio for the first 10 years of the college inception. And so considering that they're exactly 50-50, in CC Club, let's say there are 40 people. How many do you think are the girl students in that? Should I say the answer? Is 34-35 on average. And we can take a round of applause. So the point here is, these are the same girl students that scored the same in the placement test to be able to come to the VVIT. But it shows that they do put in enough effort and dedication to do well in their lives in the education phase, is what we clearly see at our institution. So, but there is a question that I want to ask most of them. So let's say most of you are ready to go to any other city to do a good job, right? Once we get placed, who's ready?
Yeah, we are ready, yeah.
So looks like everybody is ready, right? So now I'll ask you an interesting question. How many of you are ready or willing to go to, say, Delhi or Hyderabad if I offer you the same package sitting in Guntur? Let's say you're getting a 6 LPA, and the reason why you're leaving your families and so on to go to a city is to get the 6 LPA that you wouldn't get in Guntur or Vijayawada. So I would like to ask you, let's say I get you the same job in Guntur or Vijayawada, how many of you are still wanting to go to Hyderabad or Bangalore? So this is something that we want to add in the policy making. There are a lot of tier 2 places, tier 3 places in India where if the decentralization of work can be promoted by the government, the youth doesn't need to always flock to the cities. If you notice, it went from 100 to 0 with one question. So that is something that we want to add in the edition of our meeting also, where if at all we can promote freelancing, or let's say decentralization of the workforces, give some norms in the policies where we say, if you like the CSR, for example, a lot of companies are forced to do CSR by the government, and there's nothing wrong about it.
maybe try to involve some policy where we say, if you are hiring this many people in tier 1 cities, you need to have this much workforce or your company resources placed at tier 2 also, where we don't have to always flock to cities just in the name of jobs and the women empowerment, or you say, the families that they come from can be a good place for them to live compared to a random hostel or so in Hyderabad or Bangalore. So we would want to add that also from our addition to the policy making.
That is exactly why we've kept gig economy as one of the sub-themes, because we want to encourage it. We want to ensure that, the Indian gig economy becomes so vibrant that every single tier 2, tier 3 city starts producing unicorns or starts producing entrepreneurs at a scale that the world has never seen before. The hiring policy is something that I am not sure how much we can enforce, because it comes under the purview of private corporations. So we still live in a democracy.
We still live in the democracy where government still controls the fees, controls the student body, controls the admission of every education institution in the country.
That's a discussion we'll have off camera.
So if you are ready to have a reservation in the academics, why don't you have something, a good ratio split even in the work culture? What's stopping you?
See, reservation is there in academics, but please tell me where in private universities have we, started doing that? Government universities have it, government jobs have it.
I can tell you. You want me to? The universities that are set up at Amravati, the VIT and SRM, the government was able to force them to have 50%. Government is government. What do you mean? Central government and state government, we cannot consider them to be two different governments in India.
No, that's exactly.
So
when we talk about
let me finish it. Let me finish it.
So let me also give you my policymaker viewpoint.
Yeah.
See, this is the biggest question that we face. Why don't schemes trickle down? Because the thing is, no matter how much we try, we follow. We have 3 lists that we follow: the concurrent list and the state list. No matter how much we try, a lot of power still resides with the state governments, and even more than so with the local governments. So unless they also become equal and willing partners in progress, it becomes difficult for the particular state or nation to progress. Like I was having this conversation with the Honorable Principal today in his cabin, that neighboring state of Telangana, there have been companies that have come and left Gujarat to go to Telangana.
Correct. To Hyderabad, not Telangana. That is the discussion. Show me a couple of companies that came to Telangana that's not Hyderabad.
To add to that, there were some companies which are coming to Siddipet, Karimnagar, Warangal, tied to.
Let's say 1%.
But
at least leaving Hyderabad, leaving the gift city and leaving the Ahmedabad, they're coming to Karimnagar.
No, not like that, but they were encouraging there. I saw my friends
the idea
who were
is
from
progressive industrial policies.
Let me be honest here. There is a popular movie dialogue most of us know here. As a part of every state citizen, are we in this country or are we out of this country?
Absolutely, you're in this country.
Correct. So is the central government supposed to be taking care of the policies that are related to the state government also or not?
Yeah, we are.
Correct. So basically when we ask something from the central government policy making, the blame cannot be put on the state government, because if state government is capable of doing it, the central government is always going to be capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So if an university can be forced to have 50% of their seats given to MCET counseling, of course you can force a company or two to,
See, when you force an institute to give up 50% of its seats, right, that creates discontentment like it's there in you.
Correct.
And you can't have that going nationwide.
It's discontent.
It's a problem here that needs to be solved here. That I completely agree with.
Yeah. So now you're saying or calling that a problem. I didn't.
Yeah, I agree. You should not be. Why should private
Let's put these two things apart. The point is that education needs to be in the concurrent list, no doubt about it, because for a multilingual country where you need multiple centers of control, it has to be in the concurrent list. So upon that, these minutiae, I think we can discuss it later on.
Some small example we'll try to do. Okay. So everybody, we do like to believe India is a democratic country, right? Correct. So I'll ask you.
One second.
Yeah.
We don't like to believe it is.
No, we all like to believe.
It
can
is.
also be.
It is.
We also like to
It
believe.
is.
So we like to believe it's a democratic country. So I have a quick question. there is at least 50 to 100 students here. I think about 100 students. So when I ask you that, the policies of the central government or the state government, should they be also democratically, as you said, the youth wing should also like the next age policies, right? So I'll suggest a small policy, the same one we discussed, and we'll see what the democracy here says. The same one, the Amazon company in Hyderabad, let's say, has 100 jobs. Can the government put a policy saying that they should at least put something in a tier 2 city in Amravati or Guntur saying that we need 20 jobs here at least? Who's going to support that?
The government came out with
let
the National Youth Policy 6 months back. How many of you sent in your opinions about that? It had employment things related to employment also.
It didn't reach the ears there.
No, that is the thing. No, how none of them had even opened up the ministry's websites to even check what the government was
Because
offering.
as you said, it's just recently changing, and we never really thought that.
No.
You can't have it both ways, right? You
let
can't
me intervene here.
not contribute and then say the government is not
So
doing
now
anything.
we are right.
So that's exactly what I'm saying.
So
we have to be proactive.
Mahadev,
we are
just a
proactive
second.
now.
So the policy that you are suggesting was exactly the same policy we had in the 1960s, wherein we forced the public sector companies to come to the tier 2 cities. Why is this in the Ramagundam, etc.? We want, but economies of scale doesn't work when they are in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, right? It's very difficult for an Amazon. Okay, if we want to have a software company elsewhere, what would the software company be looking at? Human capital, proper hospitals, proper education. So that requires a lot of other resources to come in parallelly, right? So if you just ask someone, because India is a democracy, we cannot force a company to establish it here. At max, you can give it some incentives. You are giving incentives, but companies are not willing to come because situations are not favorable in tier 2 or
policies
tier
are not
3.
against them.
Tier 2 and tier 3 cannot accommodate them. That's a discussion for another day. Yeah, Vinay, you want some?
Just to add on that,
Yeah. Yes.
delocalizing or democratizing the talent, spreading it across India is a good thing. But I completely agree with you, Mahathir. But it takes a bit time. Maybe government should think on it, not at large scale, like 50% they should do it here. But if they started with 5, 10, and if they tell, okay, can you have your support center here as well, instead of having it only in the city? That's a good way to start. And maybe just to quote an example, we all know about Zoho, right? Google offered $1 billion to buy that company. So it's a cloud company in India, built in rural Chennai, now used by most of the MSMEs to run their business. So there are examples. Maybe that government can take it as a case study of Zoho and try to replicate the model.
I think there it was more the will of the entrepreneur than the government there. Zoho CEO.
It's a twofold. Entrepreneur should have the intent.
Yeah.
If entrepreneur has the intent, there is no requirement of policy.
Yeah. So, any further questions? Please.
Direct a person towards something or influence him towards a certain thing. And most of things they are being digitalized and they are not being directly communicated towards the people. And if you think it in a way, there's a psychological fact that every time you recall a memory, it is being misinterpreted by a small margin. And every time I want an answer to a question, if I am reading of something indirectly as an answer from an opposing person, then what is the chance that I am exactly understanding the information that they want to convey? And if you are trying to do that, let's say Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health, Welfare and etc., and you are not trying to directly conduct health awareness campaigns and youth awareness campaigns without directly processing the information you want to convey to them, how would they interpret them in the way you want them? That's the first question. And the follow-up question is, we are more focused towards building the technologies and we are undertaking the technologies that are negatively impacting the youth. Let's say I asked ChatGPT some questions about personality development, etc. And ChatGPT has this bug called as hallucination. So it provides arguments that seem plausible, but
a very good question.
I will answer the second question first regarding the regulation and policy. Just today morning, I think Times of India something came into the room and I just opened the paper. What you are asking is conscious AI, right? For suppose we should not give bias to AI that blacks are not good than whites because it's in human conscious. If you take US, if you teach the same to AI also will get biased. So to address, governments are trying for it. This is the latest article today morning I have read. So 7 companies, all Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and they have agreed for third-party checks on their algorithms that being run at a foundational layer at the AI. That's one thing. They are also doing some kind of security check. Even if there are any vulnerabilities that are identified in this model, the US government has said, come out publicly and announce it and tell a solution for it. So some kind of frameworks are getting formed and regulations are also getting formed, but it's in an early stage. However, people should be, as you said, it's a right thing, they should be very conscious so that the models won't get bias, which is already existing in the human ecosystem for ages. That's the second question. I forgot the first one.
And like adding to his point, I mean, I'll also state an example. Recently, I was converting subtitles. So I asked ChatGPT to edit any grammar mistakes in my video subtitles. I pasted the entire content into ChatGPT. What it did was, in the subtitles, in the actual content, I used the word Midjourney multiple times. When I asked ChatGPT to correct it, it replaced the word Midjourney with DALL-E. DALL-E is a similar text-to-image generator from OpenAI. If you can see, it is clearly biased, right? Because it knows that Midjourney is a competitor, even though it states that the information is updated up to September 2021, but still it is biased because OpenAI has that access. OpenAI can regulate that, but whatever you ask is exactly true. Like it needs to be regulated, but you can see we haven't seen even 1% of the AI so far. It was still in the regular stages. If it is not regulated by governments or major giants, we cannot make use of AI in a complete level. So it should be regulated and must be regulated. But I think you will see that in the coming months for sure, because without regulation, any technology will not survive, and we cannot implement that. Even in the case with cryptocurrencies or blockchain, we see like unregulated or biased, or we use it cryptocurrency transfer for multiple purposes, even for illegal purposes. But finally, most of the central governments, most of the countries formed a regulation, like cryptocurrency regulations are being tracked now. The transactions are being tracked now. So there is a control on it. I think it will be applicable for AI as well. Whatever you do, it should be regulated. But again, if we regulate that completely in the future, then it will completely become centralized, and it will reduce the meaning of decentralization. But still, there has to be some regulation, but not complete regulation.
I'll intervene on your second question. Maybe I'll go on a lighter vein. You remember this famous joke on in Athadu movie, right? The divine joke. So the protagonist says knowledge is divine. Brahmananda on the other side interprets in a different way, and he gives his own answer, right? Then the protagonist finally says, "Oh, divine ante idem kaadu." Advaita. So when you get an answer from ChatGPT, it's not like it's the truth. Brahmananda gives a classical reply, "Oh, imagine ela kuda anukuntunnara ani." So that's what your response has to be. If Chat gives you some, which is why I think ChatGPT, your own company gives a disclaimer, right? Not all of which I give is true. So when you get an information, it is not the truth. Don't develop an intimacy with ChatGPT. You can just think, "Oh, ila kuda anukuntunnara," and then you act upon it. Ayyo, idi chepparu na paristhiti, you need not go there. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I would like to add one more point. So some months back, Amazon tried to give one more skill to Alexa, that is called mimicking a dead person's voice. So the entire problem arose when children during COVID lost their dear ones, like their grandparents, their mom and dad. So what Amazon understood is, maybe if we give this skill to Alexa, and if the children wants to hear the voice of the dead, like singing a song or speaking to them. That kind of skill, if the Alexa can work with the child, maybe the children can be happy, or they might be reliving their moments with the dead people. So this skill was developed in Alexa, but there was a controversy that arose in US. Many people protested against it, saying that it is going to hamper or it's going to create fears for the children, that they will try to foresee that the grandparents or their mom and dad are coming back. So in real time, their grandparents or their father or mother are not going to come back, but Alexa can constantly speak in that voice or sing in that voice and can hallucinate the child that they are there. So some protagonists said that this is a useful skill, but some people protested that this is not at all useful. So still that controversy is going, and what these technologies are teaching us is that they will leave that decision making ultimately to us. It is us who have to decide that is it useful for us or is it not, in what way it is useful and in what way it is not useful, and how we can effectively utilize it. So that sort of decision making or cautious understanding of the devices is still left to us, and it is us who have to understand. Yeah.
You need to reserve your free will. The decision has to be yours. So one last question before we wrap. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Madhuri, and my question is about the topic, what about the unskilled labor or the cheaper labor? So nowadays, every parent from any field wants his or her child to be a CSC student or to be an IT student, or who has the knowledge about Industry 4.0 technologies, etc. And no one wants his or her son or daughter to work about their traditional things like farming, carpentry work, etc. So don't you think that after some point of time, that these unskilled labor will have the highest demand? Like when we take robots, if we think we can replace human work, those human work with robots, not robots are as much sensible as humankind. So don't you think that these unskilled labor will have the highest demand?
That's a very good question. Very good question. You can add your US experience about the...
Correct, I was about to do
Yeah.
So basically, let's say there is a plumber or somebody that does the gardening. People who go from, let's say, our seniors who have gone to do a master's and get an IT job, can you imagine that in most of the good towns and cities, the salary of a gardener or a proper plumber is equal to a tech guy in US? Can you imagine that? The guy coming to do our garden is going to get paid as our own salary per hour. So what happens is, usually in a supply demand curve, as you said, the cheap labor today, which is not the tech and the actual cheap labor of this country, not the world, is going to be in demand automatically when there is a surplus of resources spent on the other technology jobs and all the other jobs, and when there's not enough left here. So automatically when they get paid enough, the people themselves will, then the real opinion, because if you really want to be honest here, if you take 1,000 incoming batch of VVIT, at least 500 students of it are going to be just joining engineering because they're going to get a good placement or somebody told them life will be smoother. Not that they love engineering. The same way, when you realize that there are other skilled jobs that are going to get good salaries and a good life, once the supply demand curve settles down, automatically people will again flow back into it. To add that, I don't think it's been discussed with the faculty or the students yet. So currently, as we probably know, VVIT, we're trying to be the university as soon as we can and want to be the next university of the state. So one of the things that we are trying to work with the Delhi Education Ministry, and to be honest with you, earlier I was just joking with him, they're extremely proactive with the procedures and all. We were actually surprised. The chairman sir was at the office and they were like, as long as you have the prerequisites, as long as you have a proper ideology and you have proper project reports of how you want your institutions to look 20 years down the lane, following the NEP given out by the central government. They're actually ready to show their support or give their support from the central side of things. So in our VVIT case, one main topic that we are focusing on is the traditional and heritage side of the academics. And the second major side we discuss with them or want to focus on is the skilling of unskilled also, aside from the engineering. So if at all, in simpler words, we are planning on starting a skill institution along with the technical education in the state here and, get the other skills out to the public also.
There is one thing called income inequality or economic inequality. So that is what stopping India calling as a developed nation. Similarly, there is thing called labor inequality, which means the difference between high skilled and low skilled labor. Like if the difference is too high, then we cannot call ourselves developed, even in terms of labor. So it will get sorted ultimately, because the economic inequality gets sorted, we will become a developed nation. The reason why US or China are considered as developed nations is because the difference between rich and poor is very minimum. You will hardly find two poor people, or you will hardly find many rich people, because they were average. If you can take the average, you will find everyone similar. Similarly, in India, it's going to happen, and I think this is the right time, maybe after 2 to 3 years, if high skilled labor is going to replace these manual jobs and all, then again people start looking at traditional jobs.
Yep. On that note, so let's conclude. So I think you have, please.
On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to thank Amazon for supporting female entrepreneurs, my graduates. And before going to my question, it was very good listening here. We are very familiar with the word recession these days. What we know, maybe most of us, what we know is due to recession, layoffs are happening. What I wanted to know is, what is the underlying relationship between this recession and layoffs, or what the recession is, why it is happening, or something like that. And before we are into Industry 4.0, I don't think it is a recession period. We are looking it like a changeover period, like one technology to another technology. So I wanted to answer.
Sure, definitely recession is all about economic slowdown. If purchasing power of an individual decreases, then we call it as a recession. If you stop buying, if you know the recent example of tomatoes, the kg price of tomato is close to 200. So most of our households stopped buying tomatoes. Most of us, not everyone. So what it means? It means that there is a lot of demand for tomatoes, but we are not able to purchase them. Here the purchasing power is reduced, right? Similarly, for anything, it might be e-commerce. Let's take an example of Amazon, as she is here. If it's a sale, you are purchasing a lot. Suddenly you feel like, someone is frightening you that, the recession is coming, or layoffs are coming, or the government is not performing, or anything. You stopped online shopping because you are worrying about your future. Then it is what we call recession. If everyone stopped purchasing the things, then Amazon will not get profit, right? Then Amazon will lay off their people because they need to reduce their expenses so that they can maintain their profit loss or margin sheets and all. Similarly, any company you take, it might be Ola or Uber. If it's a completely rainy season and you don't want to travel, you stopped booking Ola or Uber, then the profits, or I can say the revenue of Ola or Uber go down. Then ultimately they need to manage their expenses, right? How can they do that? By laying off some of the people.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you consider any company, if their products or if their services are not being utilized by people, then ultimately they need to manage their expenses by laying off their people. Correct. So if you stop purchasing the things, then it is what we call recession, because economy is slowing down. Because of that economic slowdown, companies will start laying off people. Then that is what layoffs. I think this is a relation between recession and layoffs. If there is a recession happen, then ultimately you will see layoffs.
Okay. So whenever you are buying something, okay, work runs on demand. So if there is more demand, there won't be recession. So whenever you are booking an Uber or buying an Amazon article on Amazon, feeling that you are doing some Desha Seva, because when you are buying, you are increasing the demand in the country. One last point and we'll close.
I'll give you the textbook answer to that. Just what's a recession is, if the GDP falls consecutively
Inflation.
for 2 to 3 years, okay, then it's called a recession. So when the GDP is falling, all that what he told will happen, the contraction of economy and all. But honestly speaking, I don't think all the layoffs are only related to recession, but they are showing it as one thing that happened, like as a cause to cover themselves. Not every company needs to, in my personal view, needs to lay off at the scale it did in last 1 year. But it's a capitalist society. Everyone want to preserve their profits, so they used a chance to lay off people. But it's previously there is a other cycle also, right? People got a chance to switch between companies like anything.
Yeah, companies are using it as an opportunity.
Job switch boom. Everyone got like 50-80% hikes by switching 1-2 times. So that now is subsided, and now companies are taking advantage. They are just showing it as one of the cause and.
So that's a corporate secret just revealed. So anyways, thank you for a wonderful audience. I think you had brilliant takeaways. A machine, I think this can be one sense of summary, that A pushes you to be more and more human. So when machine is coming into your life, a machine can at max take away the redundant jobs. So you should keep the redundancy out of you and be more and more human. I think there's this famous dialogue in Nuve Nuve, right? Taj Mahal in Tony Konleru and Jeppesi. So likewise, you should be unbuyable by a machine. So improve those skills. You can improve those skills by having proper observation skills, analytical skills, a proper touch of history, economy, culture. These will enhance such human skills within you. On that note, I thank G20 Secretariat and VVIT and Bhaskar for taking all the efforts in getting it done. The only Y20 summit in Andhra at VVIT. Thank you very much. And of course, thanks for a wonderful audience. You have the AI relevant skills, which is why you could sit for 2 hours. Thank you very much. You are market ready.
Thank you, everyone.
We thank Devansh and everyone on the stage for coming over and discussing information and some policy changes that are going to be coming in the future days. As part of VVIT family, we thank you for one and all. And then we also want to thank Jignasa for being the bridge between the G20 and VVIT, for the Y20 and VVIT. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Bhargav.
ఐఐటి పెట్టిన రోజు నుంచి మనం ఒకదాని గురించి ఫోకస్ చేసింది ఏంటి అంటే పిల్లోడికి ఏది మంచిది, ఏ రకంగా ఆ పిల్లోడి యొక్క జీవితం షేప్ చేస్తే వాడి జీవితం సుఖంగా ఉంటుంది అనేది మనం మొదటి రోజు నుంచి మన ఆలోచనలు ఉందండి. సో దానికి సంబంధించి ఈ లాస్ట్ 2-3 ఏళ్ళ నుంచి ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అనేది ప్రపంచం అంతా ముందుకెళ్తూ ఉంది ఆ టాపిక్ మీద, ఆ కంపెనీలు వీటి మీద. సో మనకి G20 యొక్క యూత్ వింగ్ Y20 నుంచి దేవాంశ్ అండ్ అదర్ ప్రముఖులు వచ్చారనేది మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నాం. వీఆర్ హ్యాపీ టు బీ ద హోస్ట్ ఇన్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ ఫర్ ద మీటింగ్. ఈ మీటింగ్లో మనకి వాళ్ళ నుంచి మన పిల్లలకి అర్థమైంది ఏంటంటే ఏ రకమైన ప్రాజెక్టులు, ఏ రకమైన చదువు మనం చదువుకుంటే మనకు ఉద్యోగాలు అనేది ఇంకా మంచి, ఇంకా పెద్దవి వస్తాయి అనేది మాట్లాడుకున్నాం. ఎక్స్క్యూజ్ మీ. So we are really thankful for the central government to initiate this and have our Y20 of Andhra Pradesh at VVIT. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, media.
Of our event, Y20 Talk, Future of Work, Industry 4.0, Innovation and 21st Century Skills. And today we are delighted to present a kaleidoscope of performances that embody the essence of diverse traditions and artistic brilliance. And the first performance promises to be a musical masterpiece, and we are thrilled to present it to you by the students of Viva Rockers, the students from the Viva School by VVIT. Let me invite them with a big round of applause.